Williamson, Inc. serves as Williamson County's Chamber of Commerce and Office of Economic Development. In partnership with the Williamson Herald, WBKM Radio, they brought together Meet the Candidates, an interview series open to all candidates for this office to help inform the community. During these conversations, candidates will share their views, and I may also share some of my own opinions as part of the discussion. Those opinions are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Williamson, Inc., the Williamson Herald, WBKM, or any organizations involved in hosting this series. You can find additional voter resources, including these interviews and written candidate profiles, at williamsonchamber.com/vote.
Good morning, Sean Allo.
Good morning.
Why do you want to be county commissioner again?
Well, this will be my third time running. I feel that I've been able to represent District 11 fairly well over the past 2 terms, really focusing on matters that affect District 11 particularly, and our interesting kind of overlay between downtown Franklin and the rural character that makes up some of our tail end of our district and county. So I'm running again, primarily for stability and continuity for District 11. Brian Bethard is no longer running, and so if reelected, I'll be the only continuity for District 11 for this upcoming term.
Describe the district. Is it downtown Franklin?
It's a mix. We have kind of the square territory, and then on down south all the way to Independence High School. So we have an interesting mix and interplay between rural character and city character, and really it's kind of a battleground of sorts for annexation purposes between Thompson Station and City of Franklin and the county.
In your first 2 terms, you've seen a lot. Is it what you expected 8 years ago?
Frankly, no. It's a lot of financial examination and financial considerations. It's been enlightening to see the interplay between the county legislative branch and the county executive branch and the various departments, and I feel like I've learned a lot over the past 8 years.
How would you describe the attitude toward debt? Has it changed any over the last 8 years? Because we have a little bit more debt now than we did 8 years ago.
We do. I don't think that the discussion has really changed that much. The number has changed some. I believe when I was running first in 2018, the same discussions were being had about, well, what about the hospital? Would you sell the hospital to satisfy debt? The same conversations are happening. I think that we are hitting an inflection point where our debt has hit a certain level where if we're going to keep increasing, it's going to address property taxes and going to have other impacts. So I think the discussion has matured perhaps over the past 8 years, but the conversation is still being had.
In 8 years, how many tax increases have you supported or denied?
Sure. You know, I might be unique in my perspective on the tax increases in that I vote against measures that would cause a tax increase. But once the county commission as a whole has approved certain line items that would require an increase to fund, I believe it's the county's responsibility to fund what the county has approved for spending. So my answer is I've voted against measures that would increase our taxes up to the point where the county commission as a whole has already approved expenditures, at which point property taxes have to be increased to support what the county commission has approved spending.
Something we have to do in the media that we didn't have to do 8 years ago or 4 years ago was pay close attention to equal time provisions.
Sure.
It's back. So you may notice when you watch these interviews that I ask many of the same questions. I might try to phrase them differently, but to be absolutely fair, there's only one way to do it, and that is ask the same questions.
Sure.
What have you accomplished in the last 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want to accomplish in the next 4?
So I'll start with this most recent term. There are two measures that I'm particularly proud of. One is we've increased the transparency of committee meetings by recording those and now posting those online. It was a measure that I worked with Commissioner Bill Petty on to introduce and kind of bring us into the at least 20th century as far as the commission goes. So I'm proud about that initiative. I'm also proud about examining and I think being really responsible with budget requests and examining wants versus needs. There's not a specific resolution that I could point to on that, other than kind of a continuity of voting for and against measures that I think will benefit the county as a whole or not so much. One aspect that I'm very interested in pursuing as we move into the next term is the question of our courthouse and what happens with that in terms of, is there a relocation? Is there a rehabbing of it? The judiciary is one of those redheaded stepchild of the county that really hasn't received the attention that it needs and that our judges need in order to provide very vital services for our county. So in this upcoming commission meeting, I've drafted a resolution to form a task force that would be comprised of commissioners and other stakeholders, including members of the city of Franklin, aldermen, to work on solutions and recommendations for the courthouse moving forward.
Now, I guess you'd say I'm fortunate. I really don't have to please judges these days.
Sure.
I don't think there's any outstanding warrants. You mentioned judges specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Why does a courthouse need to be downtown? Isn't that the high rent district?
It is. You know, I think there's a few reasons why the city and the county as a whole benefits from the current courthouse location. One is we're one of the few counties that has a courthouse that's been in operation since 1850. There's continuity of history there. There's also impacts and studies that deal with what happens when these civic institutions leave a downtown area and the impact economically. We have hundreds of people that come in on a weekly basis that spend money in downtown, goes towards taxes, goes towards contribution and supporting local businesses. I think that's important. But on a broader scale, we're required to have the courthouse within the city of Franklin limits, as it being the county seat for Williamson County. So when we look at whether there is a need to move somewhere else, one, we look at the impact it currently is having on the economy and the infrastructure for downtown Franklin. But two, we look at long-term needs. And, we have projections as to what our courthouse load is going to be in the next 20 years. But with the changing measure of technology, there's no real telling how much space we are going to actually need in the next 20 years with AI and other things coming in that might impact certainly staffing and maybe even the operation of the courthouse itself.
We're here at Williamson Inc. Williamson Inc. will tell you that they have one really hot economic development tool, Williamson County Schools.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done to strengthen Williamson County Schools?
Sure. The county commission itself is really just the financial arm of Williamson County Schools. And we don't have line item vetoes on specific things that the school wants to spend on for their operational side, but we do get to fund and approve construction of new schools, redevelopment of existing properties, as well as other capital improvements. And I feel that, one, the school board has done a good job of being selective of what they're asking the county to approve, and the county has approved improvements and development that really, I think, has increased our capabilities to provide a good educational service. But as far as also increasing the viability of our public schools and the burden on our taxpayers, the county passed a resolution seeking to have greater state resources put towards our county schools that's more proportional to what our needs are. Right now, the existing formula does not have us receiving our fair share of state resources for that. And every dollar we receive from the state is a dollar we're not paying as a local tax for our school operation.
I presume you're running as a Republican?
Yes, sir.
And the Republican Party controls the legislature, right?
It does.
Who's getting our money?
It gets spread out amongst every other county in the state. So our sales tax is going towards certain matters and other state resources that we have that are being paid towards the state. There's an existing formula that allocates a certain amount towards each county. And frankly, the discussion seems to be on the hill of, well, that's just Williamson County. They're rich. They can afford it. They don't need the help. And that's a narrative that our state legislators are trying to combat for us and really try to give us an opportunity that other areas of the state also have.
The school superintendent says that the district's growth has, I think the adjective is, flattened.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good thing?
It is to an extent, but it impacts our filling of schools, and definitely the elementary schools in particular. When we don't have people moving out and new families moving in with younger children, what we're seeing is our elementary schools not being as full as, say, our middle schools or our high schools. And that's not true across the county. Some areas have more filling, some have less. And so I think in order to maybe combat and try to be respectful of our county resources, we're going to have to look at redistricting. And when I say we, I mean the school board. Start with that first before we start looking at construction or other new development.
Well, it seems like this flattening process has happened at a convenient time because we have other things to spend money on.
Sure.
Like a several $100 million jail. I've forgotten, I guess Justice Center would be the appropriate terminology, but it is what it is. I guess it's a good thing when growth flattens, we don't want it to flatten too long, do we? Or is this an answer to a prayer?
I don't think that we're experiencing exact flattening of population size in the county. Perhaps it's flattening in perspective of certain schools and the impact of what we're providing on an educational basis. But if you look at what our capital requests have been over the past term, it's been a long time since we've had a request for new construction for a school. That might change in the future, but I think that's representative of the flattening, which frees up resources, frees up our capital, frees up our borrowing capacity to spend on other matters of our county. The jail, for example, was well over 20, 30 years old. The jail cells, we couldn't find parts for anymore. And so you're seeing this kind of across the county, whether it's our jail infrastructure, our parks department that has lights falling out, or walls that are dry rotting because they haven't been touched in 20 or 30 years. Maintenance is going to be a big expenditure moving forward.
Tell us about Sean Iowa. What do you do for a living? Tell us about your family.
So I am a lawyer here in town. I work at Shell & Oglesby, where I'm managing partner. I do a lot of civil litigation, so I'm in court, Williamson County, Nashville, federal court as well. So I enjoy doing that. I come from a line of lawyers who have practiced on Main Street since about 1870. So I call Franklin home and don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon.
The house you bought, however long ago that was, you might not be able to sell it. I mean, it might not be advisable to sell that house anymore, even though it'd be very tempting.
The question's always, you could sell it, but what could you buy for that money?
Where would you have to go?
Where would you have to go? And I'm fortunate that I am in District 11, which is downtown Franklin. I live off of West Main Street. And when I acquired the house in 2015, the house now has just about tripled in value. Yes, I've done some additions to it to try to, work with where I'm staying and within my means, but property values have increased.
You're in a unique position. The 11th district is town, and it is country.
It is.
You get the Californians, and you do get the people in the yellow shirts, all in the same district.
That's right.
How do you determine whom to please? You do. Your district would represent the city of Franklin. And right now, the city of Franklin and the county of Williamson have, for the first time in my memory, something they disagree on.
Sure. Well, I think that the county and city have disagreed in the past, and they've always come to a reconciliation. I think we're on the same path for that again. Just look at how we were able to work through issues with impact fee with the schools, that we were able to work out a deal with the city in terms of what percentages went where. I think that we're going to face the same thing again. But when we have this kind of population crunch, and District 11 in particular, which sees the squeeze from both Thompson Station, Spring Hill, and the city of Franklin, the solution is more conversation. And I think that that's what I'm willing to do, and I hope the rest of the commissioners are as well.
Cities are going to grow. They're going to grow at the expense of the unincorporated area of Williamson County. How long is that going to take?
It's going to take a while. I think the city of Franklin doesn't have a lot of growth areas left. And so when we had our last redistricting a few years ago, District 11 had to expand in size to capture more of the unincorporated area to try to make up a population issue. You see West Haven, for example, expanding in growth. that territory of District 8 and 9. Same with the Nolensville area. Those commission areas are kind of shrinking because they've got more infill and growth. You'll see District 11, I think, in the next cycle expand even larger to try to capture more population to be equal on the distribution. So I think it's going to be an ongoing issue, and I don't think it's a conversation that rarely ever ends.
Describe your relationship with Rogers Anderson and tell me what kind of relationship you're going to have with the new mayor.
You know, I would start with saying it's a relationship of respect. I respect the work that he does, and I respect his opinion, but there are definitely times where I voted against initiatives of the mayor and voted for. I vote my conscience, and I vote what I believe my constituents' best interest to be, and that doesn't always align with the county mayor. Again, District 11 has City of Franklin residents as well, and so sometimes those interests don't align with what a broader county interest could be that is, you know, Rogers' big picture focus. And so I hope that whoever's mayor, whether it's Mary Smith or Andy, I hope that conversation continues. I hope that those initiatives are brought to the commission for consideration, and that mutual respect continues and conversations continue between the two branches.
How much time do we have left?
None.
None.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Atkinson wants to be a county commissioner from District 11, is it?
That's correct. That's correct, Tom. Yeah.
District 11, that's a kind of a hybrid district. You've got downtown Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
and you got Thompson Station too.
Well, actually, we stretch all the way down Liberty Pike down towards Dallas Downs. So it's
Okay.
that odd kind of horn district there, but it's got a lot of urban area. Of course, historic downtown Franklin, and then out Liberty Pike. Yeah.
This district, I believe I'm right, did have the county commission chairman, but
That's
he
right.
chose not to run for
Ryan
re-election.
Beathard has been in that position for 16 years. He's a neighbor of mine, lives in historic Franklin as well. Really good guy, and the county's going to miss him. He's quite a person.
Tell people what you do.
Okay.
You have a past
I do?
in television news.
That's right, yes.
And what do you do now?
So I work for a PR firm called Spectrum Science, and what I do is I coach executives how to talk to the media, how to do presentations, create video content, etc. So the same skill set, now I'm on the other side of the camera. But for 33 years, I was a sports and news broadcaster in Arkansas, in Austin, Texas. I'm a native Texan, Dallas, Texas, Denver, and then my most recent stop was San Diego, California. So I have a lot of experience of talking to people and sharing their stories and understanding and filtering through that and trying to let people know, other people, what people's plights are and what their issues are. And I look at this as being the same type of thing. I want to listen to people, I want to understand their issues, and I want to be able to work with people and find compromise.
You've always asked people to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different when the shoe is on the other foot.
That's true.
When you need to be the one listening.
Right. Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I look, it's the same. You've been through this, Tom. When you go through an interview and you listen to people, you have to be really open-minded about what they're talking about. Truly understand what the issues are that they have. And it's the same thing. And then telling their stories. I look at this as being the same way. I call it leading by listening. I don't think you can lead without listening to people and what their issues are. You can't just go in and make decisions about what you want or what your friends want. I think you have to make that decision based on the whole community. And that's not even just District 11. You got to work with all of the districts. You have to work with all of your other constituents in other districts, and you have to work with all the other commissioners as well. So it's not just one person making a decision. It's 24 people finding compromise and making that decision on behalf of everybody in the county.
Is it working?
I would say so. When you look at what this county has produced, I mean, a AAA bond rating, and it's so good it attracted me from San Diego, California. I could have lived anywhere for the first time in 30 years.
Oh, so you're one of those?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those transplants that
All
came
right.
here. Yes. My wife and I had a bucket list. 10 years down the road when we retire, let's find a place to go live.
Mm-hmm.
Love California, very expensive. Let's go find a place where we can have a really happy long-term retirement. That's a long way away. I'm still working. We looked at Austin, Texas, because I'm from Texas, loved the place. We looked at Nashville, and we had another place in Florida. Bucket list trip with my wife on business here. Drove out to Franklin because it was there. Let's just go see what it looks like. Took a wrong turn, found a house, put in a bid. I was here within 3 months. Because this county is so attractive, because the city and the community and the people are so attractive. The day I moved in, someone knocked on my door and said, "Welcome to Hinchyville," which is this sub-community within Franklin, right?
Oh, it's the original Franklin.
It is the original. Yeah, it's the original suburb. Brian's part of that community. We probably have 50 or 60 couples who meet monthly. To me, you can't find that in other places. I didn't know my neighbor in my neighborhood from San Diego, California for 7 years, and we lived next door to each other. That's what attracts people. And I think that's the great thing about this, is we're fiscally responsible, we have good people, and we really unite and work together in a lot of ways.
So you're Sam Whitson, one of Sam Whitson's neighbors.
Is Sam Whitson?
Yeah.
Who's Sam?
He's a former state representative.
Oh!
Lives across the street from
From Brian.
Brian Beard.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. I've met Sam at one of our meetings. Yes, yeah.
It's a unique place to live.
It is.
As only 4% of Williamson Countyans were born here.
True.
I'm one of those 4%.
Are you really?
And sometimes we don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand. Well, why are these people moving out of heaven, coming here until we talk to you?
Yeah.
And, California to us is something we see on TV.
Right.
Few of us make it that far.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're glad to come home.
Yeah.
And we're actually glad that you are here. From that standpoint, it's going to be that 4% that votes.
For the most part, yes.
How do you appeal to people who were born and raised here that are aware and know even improvement is change?
Yeah.
Most people don't like change, but
Most
when it's
people
improvement,
anywhere.
it's a good thing.
Yeah. Change is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's the television industry that I was in or just in life in general, change is very, very hard. And we all have to learn how to adapt to change. For that 4%, I would say roughly 40 to 50% of the people in my community are native Tennesseans in some way. Some are Franklinites, some are have been born and raised here in Williamson County. We found ways to unite with each other. And that's simply, again, that's by talking and listening to each other. When people understand why I moved here, I didn't move here because of the politics. I moved here because I wanted a longer term, better way of life, long term for my wife and I in retirement. That was the tax implications. I wanted to be able to make my money go farther in retirement. But it's those conversations that I have with people. We're not all the same. We don't all have the same philosophies. We don't have the same beliefs or cultures or things like that. We're relatively diverse in a way, but I think it's that open communication that we have where we have been welcomed with open arms. And so for me, as I look at my life and where I'm going with my career and how many years I may have left, I don't plan to retire fully. If I've been welcomed by this community with open arms, what can I do to give back? And this is maybe just one of those opportunities.
What aspect of Williamson County government appeals to you that you would want to serve on that county commission committee?
I feel strongly about schools. I think that's really important. I come from a family of educators. My father was a coach and a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My sister continues to teach in Texas. My brother was a superintendent. Another sister was a teacher. I'm the black sheep of the family. But I feel like education is the most important thing. It's where we put most of our budget in for this county. Even though I have adult children and I no longer have kids in schools, I moved here because of the reputation of Williamson County schools. And I think it's important to continue to work towards that, to plan for the future. Part of my platform is called Leaving a Legacy. And I think it's important to continue the good work that's been done here in Williamson County and continue to provide a reason for people to move here. Anytime we pick a place to move, the first thing that I did, and I think the first thing most families do is, where's the good schools? I'll go to the good school, then I'll find a house to live in. but I'm going to find that school first. That's where I feel I can serve most, because I also understand the perspective of a teacher, coming from a family of teachers, knowing how much they get paid, knowing how much my parents put into the community and the students and kept them in school. And as we continue to grow and Williamson County gets more and more expensive, we have to look out for those teachers. They're the ones that help make the great schools. The parents back it up, the money funds it, but the teachers are the ones that really make it a great classroom.
At what point can you separate being a county commissioner and being a Republican? Does being a Republican mean anything to you as a county commissioner? Because sometimes the interests don't, sorry, country term, gee-haw, something you tell a mule to do. But
are you saying as in a political party, will my decisions be based on that?
Yeah, I guess that's what I
First of all, I'm going to run as a Democrat.
Oh, really?
I've always been an independent because of my journalism background.
Okay. Now, see, I made an assumption.
No, that's okay.
And those are dangerous.
That's perfectly all right. You know, I'm running. I've always been an independent as a journalist.
Yeah.
I only chose Democrat at this point. One, because I like the values of where things are right now. I have voted Republican in my life in the past. For certain values, fiscal issues more than anything. But my decisions and where I lie right now lie mostly with the Democratic Party. And I can make decisions. Look, the county commissioner's role, I was at the meeting the other night. There wasn't a thing discussed in there that had a political belief.
That's true.
But I do believe every position's a Republican. Some are kind of, I think Brian's a great example of someone who kind of rides both sides. I do think there needs to be more diversity, though. You have to have different opinions and philosophies and thoughts. And even if I'm outnumbered 1 to 23, at least I'm sharing that on behalf of the community that is represented by the Democratic Party.
Let's say you were sitting on the county commission at the last meeting.
Okay.
How would you have voted on that courthouse issue?
Well, I live right around where they want that proposed site.
Yeah.
And I know what that looks like. I am incredibly concerned about the old courthouse and the mistakes that were made. So I agree, we have to avoid those mistakes. But I also think that things need to move rapidly. I think one of the county commissioners brought up the point that, you know, according to our Constitution, you are afforded the right of a speedy trial. And it takes 1.5 years to go to trial for some of these people. That's not right.
Not very speedy, is it?
No, it's not. So I don't know enough at this point to know would I vote yes or no. I need to have more information about that. But I also think we got to move fast. We got to move fast for the people that we serve. We got to move fast for the judges who want to get, you know, their cases through and their clients. And we got to move fast for the law enforcement officers and the people who protect us. And we have to do these things in the right way, but and we have to evaluate in a way that's proper.
I'm sorry, you don't talk like a Democrat. and I am one. I mean, I have been one, but in this trade, you got to be careful.
But I think I talk like someone who really is more middle of the road, because that's been my entire life. Has been taking in information, distilling that information, and then disseminating. And that's what I do with everything that I continue to do now. Give me as much information as possible. I don't know everything, Tom. I just don't. Not at this point. But it's like a story that
You sure don't talk like a Democrat.
I don't think anybody should.
No
one should ever say, no one should ever say, I know it and this is my way and that's the way it should be.
No.
You, as a journalist, you take in as much information as possible and then you try to present the fairest, most balanced story possible. This job is the same way. Take in as much information as you can, learn as much as you can, talk to as many people who will be impacted by this as you can. then make a true and fair decision based on the people that you serve.
We're down to about 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Look into that
Camera
camera
much faster.
and take your best shot.
Okay. I have three things that I'm running on my platform. And one is conscious growth. And I believe that whatever we do in this community, as we continue to grow, we have to do it the right way. Our board has done a tremendous job watching this county grow over the years and planning for the future. That conscious growth, we have to think about not 26 to 30, we got to think about 35 and beyond. We have to do that. I also have something that I like to call community collaboration. Whatever we do, despite our differences, we have to work together to come to compromise and make decisions that are best for not just my District 11, but all 12 districts here in Williamson County. We have to compromise and work together and continue to make this a place where people want to come. And finally, leave a legacy. Leaving a legacy for the future, the children who are all going to come after us. All the planning we do, schools, it takes 5 to 7 years to even put a school in place, from decision making to final construction. Parks, growth, neighborhoods, you name it. Make decisions now that are great for the future and leave a strong legacy.
I'm looking for a soundbite. I want a 10-second answer.
Okay.
Sell Williamson Medical Center? Don't sell Williamson Medical Center. Have you made your mind up?
I haven't made my mind up. Again, I need to know more about this, but I do know that it's one of the top rated hospitals in the nation. But if it's not funded properly and it's not being used the way it should, then we need to figure out how to fix the problem. For lack of a better term, fix the hospital the way the hospital fixes us, right? We have to be conscious about seniors and those who can't afford health care. If we're going to sell it to a for-profit agency, it's got to be evaluated in the right way. We have to take care of the people who are in this community, can't make long drives, can't afford health care. It's a problem as it is right now. So we have to just make that decision and evaluate the best way possible.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Tom. I enjoyed it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Marie Fellhauer is running for Williamson County Commission, District 11.
Yes, sir.
That goes from downtown to Thompson Station.
Yes, sir, it does.
What attracted you to running for county commission?
Okay, so I kind of jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, say that I'm a California political refugee. Moved to Tennessee to escape the political policies and the overtaxation in California. I retired from the Los Angeles Police Department after 26 years as a lieutenant too, and moved my then 6-year-old, now 10-year-old son and my husband and my husband's mother out here to Williamson County. We looked around the entire nation at all the different states that were tax friendly, and we fell in love with Williamson County, and so we moved here. What drew me to decide to get involved in politics here, which was not part of my plan. I was a planning commissioner for 8 years and a city council member for 4 in California, and I thought my civic duty was said and done, and I would never run again. Well, I've learned to never say never. After moving here, I saw some things that were concerning to me, and started to pay more attention to what was going on, and decided that I'm vested in living here the rest of my life, and so I want to make sure that we preserve the values and the beauty that drew me here in the first place.
This is a brief story. I have been asked before. I'm a native. I'm one of the 4% that can say they were born here.
Lucky you.
There's a considerable amount of luck into that. Yes. Another native had asked me, he said, aren't you worried about all the Californians moving here? Don't you think they're going to change our way of living? And I said, well, why don't we ask them? So I started asking people that I know had moved here from California. It's not the liberals who are moving here.
For the most part, I think
For the most part. It's primarily not liberals, which could be conservative. It could be anything. But I don't think they're going to change our lifestyle here. I think you're a wonderful example. I don't have to ask you now if you're running as a Republican or a Democrat or as an independent.
Oh, I am a lifelong Republican. My core values align closest with the Republican Party. I have been a Republican since I first registered to vote at the age of 18.
Now, you could live anywhere in the country. Why did you choose Tennessee, and why did you choose Williamson County, Tennessee?
So yeah, my husband and I looked at Idaho, we looked at Texas, we looked at Florida, and we looked at Tennessee. Those were kind of the four contending states. We visited all of them. I fell in love with Franklin in particular, but Williamson County for its landscape, its beautiful landscape, but mostly for the southern charm of the people and its conservative values and the school system. The school system here is the best of any of the areas that we looked at in all of the different states we looked at. And so all of those kind of played into our decision.
You know, it's interesting. The people who live here don't know they're conservative. It's just the way it's been for 240 something years. Since you have been here, has there been anything said, well, I never thought I'd say this, but in California they did this better?
Not necessarily, but I did see things happen in California over a period of 20 to 25 years that flipped conservative areas of California, which, believe it or not, there used to be conservative areas.
Well, Ronald Reagan was governor of California.
Exactly. And the town where I was born and raised, and I honestly believed until maybe 10 years ago that I would die there. I watched it go from a very red conservative town and the outlying region to a very blue and liberal town and outlying region in a period of 20, 25 years. And I liken it to the frog in the pot on the kettle that on the oven, stovetop, I guess, slowly coming to a boil. And so this is what I think some people here believe, that it could never happen here, that it could never flip to a blue area. And I'm warning this area that it can happen. And what first, and this leads me into what made me realize I needed to start paying attention to what's going on here, was shortly after I moved here, I was at an event at Mar-a-Lago. I met Kimberly Fletcher, the founder of Moms for America, and I decided to start Moms for America group here in Williamson County, and so I'm the group leader. I started getting phone calls from local moms about gay and trans flags in elementary school classrooms. I have no problem with people being gay, or if adults want to mutilate their bodies, that's on them. But do not talk to my child about sex at school. That is not the government's responsibility. It is nowhere in their realm of responsibilities. So I found out that the school board was going to be having a hearing about whether or not to disallow flags in elementary school classrooms that have to do with sexual content. And so I went to that meeting, and when I signed up, it said you have 3 minutes to speak. And I had my 3-minute talk planned out and practiced. I was ready to go. Got there, they said you have 1 minute because so many people signed up. So I was sitting there, scratching out my notes. And by the time the meeting started, I looked up across the room and I saw half of the room full of people waving their gay and trans flags. And so that's the pivotal moment after I moved here that I was like, I got to start paying attention. And that was kind of my moment where I was like, am I going to have to get involved here? And so
there are things you see right here, right now, that maybe be sounding alarms.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And it's not the debt.
Well, the debt is definitely alarming, but yeah, for sure.
Well, Williamson County does have a substantial debt, somewhere between 1.1 and 1.2,
About 1.2 billion.
and
Billion.
that is comparable to major metropolitan areas in Tennessee: Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville. We have a low tax rate. We do borrow money. We pay the money back. We pay our taxes. Right now, it seems to be under control. Our growth has flattened. That's what the school system is telling us. We haven't had to build a new school in 3-4 years now. But there are other things we have to build. We need a new jail. We need a new courthouse. And that's expensive. One thing you have probably found here is that we covet that low tax rate. But that forces us to borrow money. Do you have a solution, or is this acceptable?
No, borrowing money is not acceptable. We should live within our means, just as we all have to manage our households. We need to manage our house here. And there's one thing that I'll say about the government. The government has no money. The government spends your money, and it's residents and business owners' money. And so they need to be cognizant of that, and that needs to be the overarching perspective in every decision that it makes. So no, borrowing money is not always the smartest way to do business. I realize in our households we borrow money to build a house or buy a home, but we need to live within our means. And so yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
It does.
Okay.
It does. Let's get more specific.
Okay.
That courthouse, for instance.
Yeah.
That's the most recent expenditure item that has come up. If you were sitting on the county commission right now, what would you say about that courthouse?
My understanding is that the courthouse was recently built, not too long ago. What,
about
20
20
years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And that's well before I was here.
And that was right before the growth really took off.
Yeah, and so my understanding is that it's not capable to handle all of the things that it needs to handle now. So I think that there are other options to explore rather than building an entire new courthouse. I'm not going to pretend to know all the answers until I get in there and really understand the details of it. But there are other options, like having off sites for particular divisions, if you will. And we don't need to build an entire new courthouse for that. So I'm not saying I wouldn't support building a new courthouse, but I think we should look at all the options before we make a decision on that. That's where I stand on that.
The real estate here has gotten to be a little pricey.
Mm-hmm.
The average house is $1.5 million. Maybe it's median. I confuse the two. But that makes it pretty tough for a school teacher to live in the community they teach in, or the first responder to live in the community they live in. What can we do about that?
Well, I think that responsible planning is planning for the future rather than just reacting to what's happening. So I think that strategic planning, sorry, I meant to say strategic planning rather than responsible planning. Strategic planning needs to plan for the needs of the future. And, workforce housing is important. We need to look at economic development, what kind of businesses are coming in, what kind of housing should be around those businesses to support those businesses. In terms of workforce housing for police and firefighters and teachers is important, and that's a long-term strategic plan. It doesn't just happen, in one decision. But I think that, yeah, it's an important thing to consider when you're looking at long-term planning of a community, and making sure that you preserve the overarching feel of the land, so that land use makes sense and protects the cultural feel of the region.
In in your experience as a member of what was it, a city commission, a city board?
I was a planning commissioner for
Hmm.
8 years and a city council member for 4 years.
I would presume that constituent complaints probably wouldn't vary much between Tennessee and California.
There are differences, but I think the primary complaint that I've heard, I've been knocking on doors, obviously, during this campaign, and the primary complaint that I hear from citizens is traffic and how long it takes them to get from one area of the county to another area of the county, or even within Franklin for that matter. So infrastructure is paramount in long-term planning. And when you're planning, whether it's development or bringing in businesses, infrastructure needs to be first and foremost a priority to make sure that it protects the use of the region for its community, both business members and citizens who live here.
Infrastructure is an interesting word. Traffic is the most visible infrastructure need we have, even though someone from California may not notice our traffic.
Yeah.
We think it's kind of bad. From that standpoint, all we have to do is widen it or expose technology more often to it. But that's just one form of infrastructure that we need. Yeah, that courthouse is infrastructure.
Schools.
Yeah, that jail is infrastructure.
And schools.
And we built schools as we needed them. Now we built what we thought we needed.
Yeah, and we do have schools now that are at a low enrollment rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, and I like I said, I need to get in there and really see all the details, but I think that demographics of certain areas, because of the real estate market, which is just a product of growth, and that the real estate market pricing has gone up. So certain communities are not going to need the number of schools that they had in the past in the future. Now there's a balance there because you don't always know what's going to happen, and nobody likes the idea of redistricting or closing a school, but there are things to consider. I mean, there's just no one single shot answer. You've got to look at everything as a whole, and you've got to be able to take yourself out of a small area, kind of a 30,000-foot view, look at the entire region, and look at the needs that you project the future to have, which is, from a lot of different perspectives.
We're almost out of time.
Okay.
And I've saved the best for last. The hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Williamson Medical Center. People talk about it in one way, dollars and cents. In another way, it's very emotional. We didn't know we were a community until we had our own hospital. And now, what? We're talking about selling it? A lot of people don't understand that. As a person, and I'm making a presumption here, you haven't been here long enough to get attached to that hospital.
Oh, yes, I have.
Well, see, thank you for telling me that.
I stayed a few nights in that hospital. Yes.
But it's emotional.
Yes.
Had you rather have the $1 billion, or would you rather have the hospital?
Well, that question is invalid, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So I do have a little bit of understanding about the hospital. One thing, the commission has asked for a proposal to explain the different possibilities for the hospital. So I think that's due in May or June sometime. So I'd like to see what that kind of comes out saying in evaluation. But as of right now, the state has a law that if that hospital sells, that money doesn't just go to the commission to spend how it wants. It goes into a trust that's governed, if you will, by unelected officials that decide what happens with that money. And so it's not as simple as the question made it sound. It's much more complex than that.
It is complex.
Yeah. And I do understand the emotional attachment to having a hospital, because just like great parks and great schools and good roads make for great communities, having a local hospital is important. So, I need to see what all the information is about that particular proposal.
We are out of time. I thank you for being here. Go get them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
On Meet the Candidates, the 11th District and County Commission races. I think more people want to be 11th District County Commissioner than in any other district. John Haynes, why do you want to be 11th District County Commissioner?
Well, thank you for having me, Tom.
It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, I live in the 11th District. Have lived in Franklin all my life. I'm a born native here.
Well, not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
So I've seen quite a bit of changes during my years, and I think it's time for somebody like myself to represent the 11th District. And I've been talking with a lot of residents of the community, and they seem to think that this is the right time to do it.
You know, only 4%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, only 4% of the people who live in Williamson County were born here. And right now, there are 2 of them on camera.
That's right. You and me.
That's something unusual.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
What would be your objectives, your goals in being a new county commissioner? And you would be replacing the chairman of the county commission.
That's what I've been told. That's a good question, Tom. I believe wholeheartedly in education, of course, and we here in Wilson County have one of the best educational systems that we have, but there still can be some upgrade. I think the teachers need better pay. I think they need better things to be able to operate, to continue to teach the children, and so that they can be better rounded in their education. I believe also in healthcare. I worked in healthcare for over 30 years, and I think that the healthcare system can be upgraded as well. So just to be more rounded in answering the question, I think there are a number of things that can be upgraded. Yet I think also we need to remember that we need to keep the originality of what Wilson County is, and especially in the 11th District.
What's your attitude toward debt?
It's there. It's there, but I think I'm one that believes that debt should be controlled. I think if you don't keep a close watch on it, it can easily get out of control, and people can suffer from debt. So I believe that it's okay to get into debt, but closely watch how much you get into debt to be able to pay it off. You have to pay it off, Tom. You know, and so if you do it early, then it kind of, to me, it helps you in the long run.
Williamson County has a substantial debt, somewhere north of $1.1 billion.
Yeah.
And the needs never stop. We haven't built a school in about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But we need a new jail. We apparently need a new courthouse. Those needs just never stop. And you brought forward, well, we need to pay our teachers more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a need in itself. We just can't count that as an asset. We can count a school building as an asset.
Mm-hmm.
We can count a jail building or a courthouse as an asset. How do we make a dent in the debt when we probably need to run it up more?
That's a question that I think the entirety of the county commission needs to sit down and reevaluate. You mentioned the need, and I'm not sure if it's exactly a need versus a want. And sometimes the want needs to wait, and so that we can kind of try to balance out what we already have. I think sometimes we jump into things too quickly. You know, it should be discussed further.
John Haynes, my car has 312,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've wanted a new car for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to squeeze every mile out of my car I can. So you would treat the county's money kind of like you treat your own money, or Tom treats his money, in the difference between wants and needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now my car has it's a 2009 Chrysler C. It has like 210, 15-ish, something like that on it. And then back to what you just said, I would like to have a brand new car, but right at this time, a brand new car is not in the budget.
Yes, sir.
So what I have to do is to make sure that I keep my oil changed and keep my tires rotated, those kind of things to take care of my needs until I'm in a better position. So yeah, that's how I look at it, like that.
Well, there's considerable amount of debate about that courthouse, about that jail.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps where we put that courthouse. There's a place on Columbia Avenue right next to the Franklin Police Department. They say, oh, it would fit there well. We could dig one of those subterranean garages and have a parking garage underground. And but we have a courthouse that is a little more than 20 years old. Still got the new courthouse smell in it. Are you saying we just need to use it more and allow us an opportunity to save up more?
Yeah, Tom. Let's be realistic. And you talked about it still has a new smell.
Yeah,
I'm not down there that much, so I don't know. But I take your word for it.
I don't get that many.
But is
tickets.
it a should it be a top priority with what we already have? That's relating back to what we were just discussing. Can we do what we need to do in what we have? I think we can. That's my thought. I would like to hear other people's reasoning for that, but I'm just one. I'm not a big spender, Tom. I was taught to use what you got till you get what you want. So.
you just said something that brought to my mind another issue in race for county commission. They're all contested, and that is the ability to communicate. Now, I've known you for quite a while.
Yes, sir.
You do listen, and you have to listen before you can talk. Now, some folks haven't learned that yet, but another issue in the county commission races is the cities. There's 6 of them in Williamson County. Their right to annex out of the urban growth boundary.
Okay.
The county commission recently voted to ask the General Assembly for the right to veto. It boils down to it. They want the right to have a say-so in whether the city can annex or not. Because when they do annex, they annex out in the county. But they failed to tell the cities they wanted that. And therefore now there are 5 of the 6 cities have declared or passed resolutions opposing the county's resolution, and where all of this could have been avoided by communicating with each other. Are you willing to use your communication skills to help the county commission with that?
Most definitely, Tom. I think in any business or where you have to listen to the other side, or I think that's something that naturally should happen. What is it that the other side wants or need versus what we can actually afford to do? And I think that's what we need to come together and have that conversation. And but most of all, being realistic in your conversations, because you can't get this today doesn't mean that you can't do it tomorrow. So that's at church. I have to do a lot of communicating because you have so many different minds that are thinking different ways. But I still, in that, I think that communication is so important, because if I listen to your views and you listen to mine, there quite possibly might be a compromise right in there. And I believe in compromise.
You got a little gray in your beard. Tell us about the experience you have that would help you be a county commissioner.
Well, it's more than just the gray beard. There's some years of experience. I've been at the church that I pastored 27 years this year, and that's the only church I've ever pastored. So I've learned how to compromise, to communicate those things, as you say. I used to be the director of United Community Resource Foundation. We put together a system where we were able to renovate some of the old structured housing here and sell them for low income prices. I sit currently on the board of directors with the African American Heritage Society, and the work that they've done through the years has been great. So I want to involve myself in helping to focus in on some of the things that are happening. Tom, we're having a lot of people that were born here are now not able to live here, and that's not good. You know, we're part of the backbone, and I think that with the government and mention the county, that we should focus on whatever we could do to help those that have grew up here to be able to purchase homes, to be able to be more active in the community. I don't have any problems with people moving in, but I think we should take care of homes first. Those that have been born and raised here. I believe in that.
Keep knocking doors.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes,
coming
sir.
today.
Thank you. All right.
Eric McElroy is a candidate for Williamson County Commissioner, 11th District. Why are you running? You know, McElroy is a fine old Irish name. And you and your family have been involved in community's education for quite a while now. Why are you running for county commissioner? And why do you want to be a county commissioner?
Well, county commission kind of came to me as a better way to serve our community. You know, I'm born and raised in Williamson County. This place means the world to me. And, you know, it's a lot of reason why we work here, we live here, we raise our families here. And I want to keep Williamson County that way to where we can continue to raise our families and hoping that my family continues to grow and we keep Williamson County as beautiful as it is.
You come from a different generation now. And we're in a community that is changing, appears to be changing. Sometimes change is not comfortable. These are some of those days. What about the county commission would you change? What do you want to accomplish in the next 4 years?
Well, with my background in transportation engineering, my focus is really going to be more on the infrastructure, making sure that we're able to maintain and really help our roads and our utilities and everything else that are involved with infrastructure, help really prioritize which projects need to happen first. And then with that rolls into, like you said, change. With change, I mean, a lot of change that we've seen here is growth. And I think we need to focus more on like intentional growth and how we continue to expand our community, but make it the right way. And then the last thing I would plan to do is try to help focus on the fiscal responsibility of the county commission and ensuring that we are maintaining our AAA bond rating.
You didn't say the word specifically. You intimated traffic, but you didn't say traffic. You said transportation infrastructure.
Yes, sir.
You also said fiscal responsibility. How can we do something about the traffic, meaning the transportation infrastructure, and keep our credit controllable?
Well, you know, that is a tricky question, but, you know, a lot of the things that we can do with the network that we currently have, we can figure out ways. A simple one would be maybe looking at signal timing and trying to get people through at a better opportune time. And, you know, there's a lot of different things that we can look at on how we're using our roads, how we maybe enhance them by adding some multimodal to them, and which I understand that does cost money, but, you know, we can look at different ways to help people get around town. And even if they're still going to be in their own vehicle, find ways to get them to from A to B a lot quicker.
The 11th District is a weird creature. Downtown Franklin all the way to Thompson Station.
Yes, sir.
One thing that brings that district together is Highway 31.
Yes, sir.
A very contrary animal. That is the perfect example of what we're talking about, whether Highway 31, Columbia Avenue in Franklin, or Highway 31, the road that connects Spring Hill, Thompson Station, and Franklin. It's a state road.
It is.
But now lots of county roads feed into it. If you want to point to the traffic problem, you point to 31. State says they're going to do something about it on their dime yet. But I'll believe it when I see it. How do we take your objectives of presentable traffic and bring it home?
Well, I'm glad you touched on it. With Columbia Avenue being a state route, we would have to get TDOT involved. And it has been on their 10-year plan to fix Columbia Avenue, but it continues to move around and it's not a major priority for them. I think the first thing that I would do is continue to meet with TDOT, like I do on a regular basis anyway, and inform them on how important this area is, not only just to our community, but to the entire county. I mean, anybody that travels this feels the frustration. And any of the feeder roads that we maintain, we can look at trying to get vehicles on different paths to reduce the traffic and congestion, and not necessarily send them through neighborhood roads or anything, but keep them on other roads to kind of help the congestion and help people move without all of the headaches that we currently have.
Now, you're running for county commissioner, not Thompson Station alderman or Franklin alderman. In the city of Franklin, they've kind of given up on TDOT.
Yes, they have.
And they're paying the bill themselves. Is that what the county's going to have to do? Or?
Well, I don't think we're there yet. Mm-hmm. I think we're to a point to where everybody has a critical issue that needs to be solved. I think if we can truly present to them how much it impacts our day-to-day lives and they see the true impacts, because a lot of people that I know that work at TDOT travel that route, understand the importance of what it is not only to Franklin but to the entire community in Williamson County, that if we can help them understand how much of a headache it has become, then it should move up their list on prioritization.
There are more problems than traffic. You mentioned one, the debt, and some people call it the debt. They just don't call it debt. They call it the debt, like they had a relationship with it. But what else besides traffic and roads should a county commissioner be concerned with?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is ensuring quality of life for all the people in this community. And to everybody, that means something totally different. And so when talking to the constituents and making sure that I understand their issues and really what are the critical things that face them on a daily basis, my goal would be to represent them and ensure that, like I said before, everyone moved here for a reason. This place is wonderful. Everybody loves it. It does come with some issues, but at the same time, as long as they're minor, we can live with that. But when they start to creep up and really impact the day-to-day life, I just want to make sure that every Williamson County resident keeps the quality of life that we deserve.
Quality of life, that's an interesting proposal. I was born here in 1950. I can't afford to live here. I can't afford a $1.5 million house. That's kind of sad. Now, I'm happy to live in a paid-for house in Spring Hill, Tennessee. But I sure would love to live in my hometown, which is Franklin. And Franklin's not the only one that has high-priced real estate. It's not the only high-rent district in Williamson County. We've done a wonderful job with Williamson County schools. We have whether we know it or not, we have a pretty good quality of life. But when we go out and sell those schools, we drive the price of real estate up. Is it fair to people who don't have $1.5 million?
It's not. It's, you're kind of touching on the affordable housing piece, and it's a very hard thing to address because, like you said, Franklin and Williamson County it's a high rent district. It's very hard to be able to afford anything. You have to have some very successful jobs to be able to get here. But affordable housing is something that has been on the forefront. It needs to be addressed. We need to have, if you work here, you shouldn't have to drive 45 minutes to go home. And I do feel like moving forward, we can look at some alternatives and provide some incentives to create some affordable housing to allow for people not just like yourself, but for any walk of life to really be able to enjoy this city and this county.
Your timing's pretty good. I take Highway 31 every day, twice a day. And it's about 45 minutes from my office in Franklin to my driveway in Spring Hill. But I do it gladly. How do we control that debt? How do we control the tax rate? There are things we need. You know, we've lucked out. We hadn't had to build a school in 3 or 4 years now. Now we're going to have to build a jail. There are other things we're going to have to do. That's just the price of doing business. How do we control the tax rate?
Well, you know, the debt in itself is a tough one that is on everybody's radar. I mean, we do need to really focus on that and consider paying that down. But, you know, a lot of people consider it to be kind of like a mortgage, to where, you know, you're going to have debt, and some people consider it good debt. Now, either way, the word debt is still there, so it does need to be addressed. But sorry, what was your last question?
How do we maintain? I work for a bank in the afternoons, and I shouldn't be saying this publicly, but I hate paying interest. At 75, I shouldn't be paying interest at all. Don't mind paying taxes. I get something for that. And I don't know what the interest on 1.1, 1.2 billion is. But I do know that 1.2 billion has brought us about $100 billion in assets. We got something to show for it.
That's right.
That has come from good management in the past. Now that management's getting on up there, and some of those people who've been here for a while have decided to step back. You have stepped forward. How are you going to propose to control and reduce that debt? That means we can't spend much new money, can we?
That's right. But, you know, I think you touched on a very good point. Is I really look to the previous leadership. I mean, how we got to where we are. Yeah, the debt is a high number, but as you touched on the assets, I mean, we are in a very good situation. And I do think that I don't have to follow to a T the previous leadership, but following in their footsteps and understanding the decisions that have been made and using that as, you know, as good knowledge to make a good decision on any type of purchase moving forward.
Tell us about your family. You can tell a lot about a man by his family.
Yeah, well, you know, you touched on my parents. My parents, they taught at BGA for a very long time. They retired and moved down to Lewisburg. I'm married to my wife, Whitney, and I have 2 beautiful kids, Lily and Margot, and they are 10 and 6, and they're both, one's in 4th grade, one's in kindergarten.
So that means you're familiar with schools.
Yes, sir.
And I presume you're committed to schools.
Yes, sir.
What else? Is Williamson County a safe place? Let's talk about that jail, because that jail's going to cost more than any high school's ever cost.
Yeah, it's going to be very expensive, but you know, the old jail is that it's old. I mean, it needs a lot of upgrades, and you know, I've toured it recently, and you know, it's time for some changes. Now, you know, whether or not anybody thinks it should be top notch, you know, that's something to be said. But yes, the jail does need to be upgraded, and I think that's just something we're going to have to deal with.
Well, there's a difference between top notch and pretty.
Right.
I've never seen a pretty jail, but I don't think this one's going to be pretty.
Right.
But I do believe it'll be functional.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that's what's important. But that costs real money.
Mm-hmm.
You've got about 45 seconds to say whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, as you know, my name is Eric McElroy. I'm running for County Commissioner, District 11. I've been here my whole life. I'm a conservative Republican, and you know, I really hope to keep the lifestyle that we have, the quality of life, and I would just really appreciate your consideration and your vote. So thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, Tom.
Sir.
I'll see you tomorrow.